Welcome to Oklahoma High School Girls Basketball Between the Lines with my man, Coach V. What's up, Coach V?
What's going on, Tony?
Man, spring break, Coach. You on spring break. Man, a lot of basketball.
Is it spring break or winter break? Because I went outside. It's pretty cold.
Man, Coach, you can't talk about cold. I was in the cold when I was in North Dakota. South Dakota, North Dakota. One of the Dakotas.
Don't bring it with you next time.
Man, I think I brought it back, Coach. I had to get out of there quick, man. I had to get out, Coach. They was trying to keep me there. It was too cold. They tried to throw a blizzard on me, Coach. Threw a blizzard on me, Coach.
They know brother don't do snow, don't they?
Brother don't do snow. Hey, you don't never see us going snow skiing, do you, Coach? You don't see us up in the mountains. I'm keeping it 100 on the Oklahoma High School Girls Basketball Show. I don't do cold. I don't. But Coach, like I said, man, we're going to wrap up the high school playoffs games. We're going to have a special guest tonight, Jordan with the Oklahoma Sports Network. They did a great job, man. I tell you, I'm really excited about what they did with the girls and boys basketball during the playoffs. You know, even though they couldn't film the games, but they broadcasted play-by-play, and I really liked that. I thought they did a great job. Jordan and Gordy, and I think the other guy, Scott, I'm not sure, but those guys cover a lot of games in 3 days, man. It's not as tough on the kids, but it's tough on those guys getting equipment, from Oklahoma, from OU to all the way down to the OG&E Center and, getting things set up. A lot of work, Coach, a lot of hours, but you know what? They did a great job doing it. Coach, you got to see a lot of basketball, and what did you think? I know you got a chance to get in there and play your first game and do some things, and, didn't turn out the way you wanted, but, you punched a ticket to the girls. It hasn't been there in a few years. So, what do you think?
I thought it was a nice venue. You never know. You got the nostalgia of the big house. You kind of wonder, but I think it's a great, it was a great, the environment, it was loud. It's just, I don't know. It's pretty, it still had the same coolness as it did when you were going to the big house. Locker rooms were nicer. They were about a little bit like half a mile away, but they were all right.
You had to be in shape, Coach, to get to those locker rooms.
Man,
you had to be in shape to get to those locker rooms, Coach. I'm telling you, if you had bad feet, you probably needed a wheelchair or a scooter to get you there, because I'm telling you, it was a little bit of a jog, man. Like one locker room was kind of close, the other one was pretty far out. I got a chance to spend a couple days down there. Got to go watch Coach and his team. Went and watched Douglas and Broken Bow. Really good game, man. Like I said, I think both venues did a great job. I thought OU did a good job, man. It didn't look so, I think before it looked so empty in there, but I thought it brought a lot of good crowds out. Student body was good at a lot of these schools, man.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these schools, UConn did a good job over there too. So just a lot of good things. And even Carl Albert, they had held some of the semifinal games. So a lot of good work. But like I said, we're going to have a special guest tonight, Jordan, man. He does a great job with the Oklahoma Sports Network. We wanted to kind of have him come on and recap the mid-deals. He does a lot of mid-deal stuff, and it's always good to have somebody that comes on. And guess what? One of the mid-deals teams, actually a couple of the mid-deals teams played for the state championship.
Yeah.
The Carl Albert girls and the Carl Albert boys. And so he got to cover a lot of it. You had some, I'm going to call some mal upsets, because, you had Carl Albert, a team that no one really had picked to win on the girls' side, and got there. And even on the boys' side, knocking off Booker T. But I ain't going to steal all the thunder. I'm going to let him come in and join to the show. And so we're going to welcome Jordan to the show. Jordan, are you there?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good.
Yeah, great to be with you. And that was an amazing and hectic week of basketball we just had.
Man. Woo. Yeah.
Felt like it lasts forever starting on Tuesday. It was like game every night,
Well, we start on Thursday, but it was just nonstop, so no days off in between.
Yes,
that really made it quite the experience.
Well, how about when you had to go from like Lloyd Noble to UConn to the fairgrounds to Carl Albert?
Yeah,
it was all over the place.
Well, I just took care of 5A, so I never had to go to UConn or Carl Albert for this, at least on this last week. We did follow the Carl Albert teams, though.
Right.
And yes, so so Saturday was our first time ever at the new building. Yes, and obviously there's always a bit of a kind of a nervous factor, is like, are we gonna have a good setup or not? Do we have everything we need? Are we ready for, we're gonna be ready for the game once it comes, because wherever we're at for the first time. Mm-hmm. But we got ready in time, and I think we had a good stream going.
No, I thought, like I said, I thought it was a great venue. I didn't make it over to UConn, but I did, go to OU, and I did go to OG&E building, and I thought the venue was good. I think Saturday, I didn't get to make Saturday's game, but one thing I'm going to shout out to Newcastle, man, they bring it. I mean, I don't know if they shut down the casino and told everybody, if you came to the game, you got a free slot ticket or something, because they had a bunch of fans there. So I don't know what it took to get a lot of people there, but they packed the house on the girls' side and the boys' side. And then, when you're playing the same team, and, I know people could say, I would kind of say Carl Albert's kind of Newcastle's rival, because, everybody wants to beat Carl Albert, and, Carl Albert's football, I mean, Newcastle's football team is good. So they battle a lot. And then, there's a little bit of trash talking in there. So I like the rival, I mean, it's not a mid-Dell team, but it's a new team that's on the block, and Newcastle feel like, hey, we're on the block now, and this is our block, and we want to kind of take over 5A, and they've done a good job. They met in football, and now they've met in basketball. So it's been a pretty good little rival going on right now. And I know you get to cover a lot of it because, you do football also, Jordan. But how do you feel about it? I feel like Newcastle feel like they're trying to take over the block.
No, I love that you brought that up, because Newcastle is also one of our schools. So that affords us the chance to give them a lot of attention. And you're right. They're because of the community and stuff, they're emerging as a school that's good in a lot of different sports. Carl Albert's the ultimate example of that, of course. They just won girls and boys swimming a few weeks ago, state titles in that. And I don't know if Newcastle has all those sports covered, but they got quite a few, because they've gotten really good in football. And so they played Carl Albert in the semifinals. We just had the championship games. I know Newcastle won a state title in 4A softball recently, like a couple years ago. Carl Albert this past year in 5A, so I think softball could be a good rivalry there. And then they're going to be good. Both schools are going to be really good in baseball,
yes.
Which that's kind of our next focus. So that is a potential rivalry across many different sports, where whether it's football, basketball, baseball, softball, whatever the sport, you're going to have two 5A schools that are just really good communities for sports and stuff like that.
I thought I was watching Rocky and Apollo Creed. I mean, the way they were throwing each other down and kind of standing up, and they were getting out. I was like, this is just round one. This is year one. How about year two, year three coming up? Because they're all young. I mean, it was kind of like nobody was standing down. It was like, girl get knocked down, and like nobody helped me up with my partners, my teammates. And I kind of liked the rivalry. It's kind of nice.
No, I thought it was really good, man. I thought like the boys' side was really good, a great game. It's so funny. I made a mistake in the boys' game, because at the time the boys' game was going, my son was wrestling for his third national championship, and so I put the phone down. I was watching the game, and he was about to go in overtime, winning overtime, and so then Gabe goes in overtime. So I kind of put the phone in my pocket. I'm watching him, and I pull it out. And then my sister-in-law, she asked me, she's a Carl Albert graduate. She asked me, she goes, did the boys win? And I said, yeah. I said, no, Carl Albert boys won. And so they're like, oh, man, we swept them. Well, when I was looking at the score, I was looking at the girls' score.
Oh, similar score.
Yes. So she comes back and she says, well, on Instagram and Twitter, it looks like Newcastle won. They got the trophy. And I went back and I looked, and I said, man, I'm so sorry, guys. It was the girls' score I was looking at. So I gave false advertisement about Carl Albert's boys. So sorry, Coach Price. Maybe next year. So, but like I said, it was a good game, though. Carl Albert boys had every opportunity to win the ball game. You saw that, Jordan. I mean, they had the lead. It went back and forth. But like I said, great basketball game. I thought 5A did his job. I thought all the 5A teams did a great job. Representing Dell City. Carl Albert, and then like I said, Newcastle's part of this program too with the Oklahoma Special Network. So got to get him some love. But I really thought it was a lot of great basketball. So out of all the games, is there anything that shocked you the most, or a game that stood out to you? All the games that you kind of covered.
Yeah, the boys Carl Albert Booker T game was crazy. I don't know if you guys watched it.
Yeah, I did
live. I did not. I had to pace myself. I wasn't going to call every game on Thursday because we had 7. So that was one of the games I did not call, and it would have been a lot of fun too. But I thought in the first half Booker T was going to run away with it. I thought at the end of regulation that Carl Albert was going to hold on, and I was wrong on both. And as far as winning in regulation anyway, and then the scramble play that led to the final shot by Brandon Rogers, that's one of the wildest games I've ever seen.
Yeah, you know, he
twists and turns.
Yeah, he played lights out, man. And the young guy that plays for Booker T, I think he's just a junior. Don't know his name offhand, but
Doc Mitchell.
Yes, man. That kid is
he's an
special.
athlete.
He's special, you know. And that's the thing about Oklahoma's basketball. I know we cover more the girls' side, but just on the boys' side, man, there's a lot of talent out there. You know, you saw what Millwood did this year, man, having one of the best
saw
teams.
Their game, yeah,
one of the best teams in the state. You know, you saw a lot of good things. And, you know, 6A, you had you had teams that you thought was going to win. Everybody had PC North. They had a Wasso, and it ended up being, you know, Mustang and
Norman.
Norman in the championship. You know, Coach Vick knows Brandon Jackson really well. But like I said, I thought he's did a good job knocking off, you know, because he had knocked off somebody the night before. So a lot of great.
Real quick, I've known Corey Cole for over 30 years, and I went to Oklahoma Christian when he was an assistant girls coach there, and I'm very happy for him. It couldn't happen to a better guy. To bring a state title to his alma mater. So yeah, that was good to see.
Yeah, great. Like I said, great games all across. You know, PC North girls took care of business once again. I guess they're the farm league for Grind Prep. You go to Grind Prep, then you graduate from Prep, then you go off to PC North and win a state championship, then go off to college. So they got a little farm league going with with that program, which is cool. You know, I mean, I think every kid should want to try to win a high school state championship. Is an amazing feeling, you know, for a young man or a woman. I tell people all the time, I know college is really cool to win a championship, but I think high school just kind of trumps it just because you can always go back to your reunion. You're always going to have those brothers and sisters that you played with in college. You know, kids come and go. High school, you know, I know we got a lot of transfers that come in now, but but most of these kids are homegrown or grew up together playing for middle school or stuff like that. So, but I think it's good to see, you know, these kids win championships and the tears and the joy in their eyes and just the hard work. Because, you know, it all comes from hard work at the end of the day is, you know, who's out there putting the work in. You know, I mean, I guarantee when you started this show or started this season, no one had Carl Albert, you know, high school girls win the state championship. You know, good team with Richie in the Coach Banks and O'Hara had, but, you know, the front runner was Dell City. The front runner was Newcastle. Then, you know, you had Midwest City coming up, you know, with the freshmen and the seniors that she had with her, but no one ever punched the ticket that, hey, Carl Albert is going to win, especially, you know, after they lost that first Midwest City game. You didn't win, your district. And so now you got to go through the gauntlet to get to the championship. You know, you got to play Newcastle. Then, you know, you get beat by Newcastle and you got to turn around and beat them again in the championship. So I'll let you guys kind of touch on that a little bit, you know, what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I mean, I told you I thought Newcastle and Dell City were the best teams. And I almost, you know, and they got far. But the Carl Albert girls, you're right. I'm not at all surprised they get back to state because they make state every year.
Yes, sir.
And I didn't think that the depth of quality teams and girls was as good this year as last year. So it's not a surprise they got back to state. And it's not a surprise they won their first game in state against East Central because East Central was kind of a Cinderella team, you know. But then what they did against Carl Albert girls against Dell City and then Newcastle, you know, they were the smarter team. They were the more disciplined team. They were the team that executed better, and they gave up a lot of size to Newcastle. And you know, they just played a smarter game, and that's a credit to Coach Ritchie, but it's also his players for buying in. And I didn't think Carl Albert would be this good at the beginning of the year, in part because they lose Jordan Richardson to Newcastle, and you know, Coach Ritchie doesn't think about it too much, but I am guilty of it, thinking about, man, what Carl Albert could have had, but they've had 2 or 3 really good players move out that are still have eligibility this year. I already mentioned one of them, but
I mean,
Coach Ritchie just gets, you know, he just embraces the players he has and builds a team, not just a group of individuals, a team. And of course, Tony Zoe was a huge part of that. Her development throughout this year was massive. I mean, she was just as reliable of a freshman guard as I can remember watching.
You know, you talk about girls moving out, and, you know, and that's something that, you know, I think it's a crazy subject because, you know, I'm right there with you, Jordan, and I know Vic, we've talked about this, but, you know, you think about what he could have had. You know, you had Jordan Richardson moved, you had Skylar Anderson moved, and you had Curry moved, and you had Torrey over here that's from Dell City. So imagine that lineup he had, plus them freshmen coming in, plus, maybe some of those other girls don't start, Malia or Hayden don't start, or, I don't know who don't, but I'm saying, how deep is he now? But now things happen, so I think that's what he does. He kind of throws the cards and says, hey, man, I'm going to get the hand that I'm dealt with, and so whatever I'm dealt with, I'm going to use. And so I think that's when I thought he did his great coaching in the playoffs. I thought not saying he didn't do a great job prior to playoffs, but I thought there's a lot of X's and O's, and hey, we're going to roll the dice, roll the dice of putting a 5'5" girl on a 6'2" girl and say, hey, can you slow her down? Can you stop her? The first game putting, Zoe on Jordan Richardson, a young lady that we know that can flat out shoot the ball, can score it any kind of different kind of ways, from a jump shot to a floater to a 3-pointer. I mean, just got all different things in her bag. So I think what he did, and then you have a player like Jakari Brown that said, hey, and I said this earlier in the show, on one of our shows before, I think me and Coach Vick, I said, when you got a 15 and a 22, it can take you a long way. So you're looking at Audrey Plunkett, I mean, that had a great game, but Jakari played lights out. I tell people all the time, whoever gets her, if she decides to go to junior college, if she decides to go to Division II, she's probably going to end up in Division I because she's that type of player. She's that scorer. Now she needs to get in the weight room, get a little bit bigger, get a little bit stronger. But I'm telling you right now, she's playing like a Kobe Bryant, man. She's playing lights out, man. She has that mama mentality, man. She doesn't talk, she don't talk noise. She's really humble, and that's the ones you got to be scared of because they're gonna come bite you. And that's what she did to Newcastle. She came and bit them.
She did, and the type of shots she can make. She doesn't have to get all the way to the rim because she's not the biggest player, but she can attack the basket well. She just has to get to her spots, and she's become so skilled. Her because when she was a freshman, she was a very reluctant player, and I think the move outs that we've talked about actually helped Jakari develop, and it actually was good for her, and it ended up being good for the team because she had to become a real go-to player starting last year, and her offense just got better and better. And that type of move she made to hit the game winner with about 2 seconds to go, and Newcastle had no timeouts, so that was pretty much the game. That's the type of shot you have to be able to have when you play against a bigger team, a floater. And just again, it's just about getting to your spots. But they were also ready to talking about Carl Albert, whatever gym they were in. Even at Edmond North, even though they lost that game to Newcastle, in Norman, and then at the Big House, you have to be ready to shoot at those gyms. And they were ready to shoot. They hit enough threes in those games to keep the defense honest and to keep them competitive. And Jakari Brown was the one who led the way in that. She's the one that you want shooting the three when the chips are down too. And so her development as just this all-purpose guard has been very impressive because I remember what it was like when she was a freshman and sophomore and she had to play behind players. And when it became her turn, she was ready. She took advantage of it.
Coach V, what do you think?
Well, we talk about the move outs. When you have so many kids that can score, we always talk about it. You see a team put together and you go like, there's not enough basketballs. Well, there's not enough basketballs. There's not enough role players, and you got to have role players. I mean, I give you one for the Titans of Sutton. Takes 2 charges. Now, you won't see those on paper, but they were game-changing charges that she took. Mm-hmm. And one of them, she just got plowed over. I mean, that's a role player. And sometimes when you have so many good players on your team, you don't have that role player. And I thought Carl Albert, the stars came together. We talk about every game. Jakari and Plunkett have to have, great games. Zoe has to do a good job at point. How about Miss Harold stepping up and being a 3-point shooter in playoffs?
I think she's MVP. You start talking. I mean, you can talk about Audrey, you can talk about Jakari, but when you talk about MVP that led and did things and stepped up and made big shots, you got to talk about Sutton with the Chargers. I don't know how many charges she took. I know she got. What we need to do is go get her one of them little ice things you put on your head and a massage head, because I'm telling you, I know her head is hurting because it hurt. That last charge she took, that was like a football. That was like targeting. You know what I'm saying? You got a girl 6'2" coming full speed. It's like targeting, and that head bounced off that. But that's toughness. She knows what it takes to win the state championship. She won one in softball, so she said, "Hey, I'm gonna go on and take one for the team, and let's get one for basketball." Hey, won a basketball championships in what, 2000? 2000.
So I mean,
well before they were born.
Yeah.
But you got players like that. When you got so many players on your team, maybe you don't have those type of role players, and you got kids that can hit jump shots when they're asked to hit jump shots because somebody's double teaming or something, or they know not to fire it up when it's a bad shot. They don't have to get theirs. And I think when you do that, sometimes a team comes together like they did, and they came together at the right time, played best basketball at the right time of the year, which is playoffs. Uh-huh. And, and may not be always the most athletic team, but the team concept wins. You got to have role players. I mean, I have to have role players. Every team has to have those role players. Yes, Chicago Bulls, whoever, they all got role players back in their day, and you have to have those to win championships.
Yeah. And also just being, the more I watch of high school basketball playoffs, the more I think about what Kenley Sutton did in drawing charges. Like you said, you have to do that against a bigger team. You have to. And we've seen other teams suffer because they weren't able to do that.
No.
But also going from one gym to another and hitting shots. It's some teams just, they don't have it.
Yeah.
They get from one gym to another and they're just not ready to shoot. And I feel like that was a problem with the Del City girls. They had 2 games in Norman. They were able to win the first one, but they just had trouble shooting in the first. They weren't comfortable in that arena, but Carl Albert girls were, and they had 2 outstanding games at Lloyd Noble, and they carried it over to a brand new building the next day at the fairgrounds.
Somebody talked about that. My buddy Andre, we kind of talked about that, the depth and all that. But I think one thing that helped the Lady Titans by playing in that, because they got to play in the Tournament of Champions, and so you're playing in that arena. And so, you play a few games in there, so you kind of get used to it. So I think that helped. I know people are, man, you're being silly, Tony, but I do think that helped them, because I think when you went into this tournament and, they got beat by Newcastle and they won the game, but they lost the game, but they really won the game, but they lost the game. I think that showed them, hey, man, we can play with this team. Because I was scared, because I was like, man, you're playing this team again. People's talking noise. We're going to run you out the gym like we did the first time, which they didn't, but people were saying that. And so I think I always feel like if you let the underdog stay in the game long enough, it's going to come back to bite you. And, when Newcastle got on that league, I'm watching the game from South Dakota, when Newcastle kind of went on that run 6-7, and I'm like, man, it might be over. I mean, I ain't gonna lie. I started saying it's over. Then we got a couple of turnovers, and it felt like Newcastle was a team that was pressed like, oh my God. I mean, they just had like turn after turnover after turnover. And I felt like they started pressing and our girls didn't. But a lot of that comes from, you have 2 seniors that never panic and they kept their composure. So I thought Newcastle's girls all start freaking out, which is like, oh my God. I mean, just, you could just see it on their face and you're like, and they're young. I mean, granted, they're a great team, but like I said, they're young. And I think that's why a lot of these teams with these senior-led leaders go. I mean, like Vick, Coach Vick, you had 6 seniors. You know what it's like having 6 seniors instead of having 5 sophomores. I mean, everybody thought the Michigan Wolverines were going to win when they brought the Fab Five and never won one because it never clicked. So I don't know. I just thought
what you said about playing at the Tournament Champions is a great point, because while there's some aesthetic differences between the 2 arenas, the Mabee Center and Lloyd Noble are very similar as far as on the floor level. Yeah. So if you can shoot at one, you can shoot at the other. So I think that's a good point. And as for Newcastle, they're a sophomore-dominated team, and then Sims is a junior. Their one senior they play was injured, Reagan Greenroyd. So I don't know what type of difference she would have made, but she wouldn't have hurt him because she's one of their starters. And so, they're the experience, the fact that Carl Albert has young players too, but they have 2 seniors they can rely on. Newcastle did not, but also I think, and I said this on the air after the game was over, Newcastle will be back. I mean, I'm very optimistic about their chances next year, but unfortunately for them, they had to experience a heartbreaker this year, and we'll see if they learn from it. But I think they will, because they are a very talented team.
Jordan. You made the horn go off. You said Newcastle's going to be back. Wait a minute. You know you got Coach White on, you got Paris coming back. Richie just said, hey, I am a state champion. You got to give me my respect. I'm like Jennifer Douglas. I haven't been knocked off the throne yet. Yeah. You can't say, I understand Newcastle's going to be back. You're exactly right. But I'm telling you right now, Dell City going to be tough too. You get Paris back. I'm telling you right now, she makes a big difference. You have her in the ball game. And
let me qualify that. I just mean back in the state tournament. I won't say anything else.
Okay, all right.
I still think Carl Albert and Dell City will be back too in that.
Oh, yes, sir. I think it's going to be wide open, man. You know, and like you said, I think Newcastle, if you looked on paper, I think Newcastle's the best team in 5A. You do, you know. And I thought Booker T, I really thought Booker T would give him a tough game, and they ran right through Booker T, you know. I thought Carl Albert have a little tough time with, you know, East Central because what they had been on when you get on that little winning streak, but I thought Carl Albert just played really, really great ball. I thought they played team ball. I think one of the things that helped Carl Albert, I think they started off kind of rough at the beginning of the year, and I'm going to keep it real. I thought, you know, bringing the freshmen in, you're looking over your shoulders, you hear about these freshmen coming up, and these girls come to take my spot. What's going on here? They're going to get more minutes than me. And I thought really Richie did a good job balancing out. He didn't throw the freshman in to start right out the back. He had Sutton, and Sutton took the role like, hey, you know what? I'm sixth man. I'm going to come and be the best sixth man in 5A. And so I thought at the end of the year, they started having team bonding, team get together. And I thought that helped a lot because they became sisters. And that's what it's all about. You don't always have to like everybody that you work with, but when you're on the job together, we got to get the job done. So I think that's what happened. I think these girls got to start knowing each other, start hanging out with each other, start trusting in each other. Because can I trust you to knock down this jump shot? Can I trust you to make this layup? Can I trust you to make this steal? And I think once they got to that point, it became good. I thought Dell City was excellent this year. I thought they won every big tournament they played in, but they got hot too early, coach. Too early they got hot. Then they got time to playoffs. They didn't look like the same team. So I just think Newcastle, I just think they're young. Didn't lose no games. Didn't really have no challenges here in Oklahoma. So the only challenge.
Not many close games, you're right.
Yeah, didn't really have any close games. So they didn't know how. I mean, I know you went out in Phoenix and played. That don't really matter because no one's seen you. Or if they did see you, it don't really matter because it's not Oklahoma. I think they feel like, hey, we had this wrapped up. We've already beat Dell City. They're the second best team here. Dell City just got beat by McGinnis. Carl Albert's got beat by Midwest City. So we are the best team here. And then I think once they played Carl Albert the first time, like, oh, we didn't play a good game, but we heard they didn't play a good game. Then it came the second game. So I think it all turned out that, hey, Carl Albert got hot, and everybody talks about March Madness. That's why it's called March Madness, because who plays the best basketball in the month of March? That's all it takes. All it takes is one weekend. You know, I mean, college is a couple weekends, but in high school basketball, it takes 3 or 4 days, and hey, guess what? It's over. Because now if you probably around turn this game and play next week, it might be a different state championship in 5A. That's just the way it works.
Yep, and part of the inexperience there, and I know their coach is a good coach. He won a state title already, but I was surprised for Jakari's last shot that Carl was allowed to roll the ball.
Everybody's talked about that. Coach V, how do you feel about
that? A player to have her pick it up a little sooner.
Well, you know, but again, though, I mean, you don't know. Maybe that was mentioned in a timeout coming out. You know, again, I mean, that place, I'm telling you, if you're not experienced, just that environment and being there. My kids, you know, I'm trying to call the simplest play I can, and you know, they're kind of freaking out a little bit. I mean, you know, they're in the arena. I mean, they're there, and it's what your goal was to get there. And so who knows what was said. I mean, I called something out of timeout, inbounds play, and they walked right out there and were like, what are y'all running? And I mean, they didn't hear everything because just the crowd and the noise and the excitement, you know, it does take an experienced team in that environment. You know, in my career, I've seen teams that were runner-ups many a times before they finally got one. I mean, I can go back to Fort Gibbs and Coach Walker back there for years, you know, as a runner-up. Melanie over at Lincoln for a couple of years was a runner-up. It takes a while for you to get used to that sense of listening and not looking around going, oh, my gosh, you know, the game's online. Here we are. So who knows what was said in the timeout. But like I said, I've said stuff in the timeout, and they walked right out there and did nothing I even knew about. Just like,
you know, Jordan, you talk about that, you know, I wonder, you know, because, you know, you look at Newcastle, they're big, they're bigger young ladies, tall, And
Yep.
you look at Carl Albert, they were shorter guards and quicker guards. So do you think Coach Jim was thinking, hey man, if we come up on them, they get by us now, somebody got to come help, and it's an easier shot, or just sitting back with our long length and that hey, she's gonna be tough because the shot she took was a tough shot. I don't care what anybody say, it was a tough shot. It was an amazing shot, but it was a tough shot. So do you think he was kind of thinking that too? Because I know a lot of people's questioning. I know I was on a listen, to the basketball dads, they all, everybody was saying it. I mean, that's been the $1 million question. Why you didn't get up on them? And everybody has their own knowledge. I mean, when you're thinking the game is in the, it's in the fourth quarter. It's what how many seconds was 7 seconds left? It was a long 7 seconds. I ain't gonna lie to you. It looked like it was a long 7 seconds, but she makes some great moves. I mean, because that's what I said. She comes in, she goes out, she goes back in, then she shoots a fader, and it went in. So I think that he was probably thinking, hey, if we went up and pressed them, they're quick enough, they kick it to one of the little shorter guards, she gets an easy layup. That shot was still a challenging shot. She just hit it, but she said it's something she's probably done in the backyard 1,000 times, and you dream about it, and it went in. It was just Carl Albert's day to win a state championship. Like I said, I mean, happy for Coach Rich. It's been so many years, been 20-some years since they won a championship. It was a school that he played at, a school that he graduated from. So it always makes you feel good when you can win at the place that you was at and went to school at and been there forever. And just the pedigree of his family, his uncle Jerry Long and his dad, that I know he has a lot of respect for and talk highly about. But I think it was meant to be to see those two seniors, man. Last year they got beat out by Booker T, made it to the second round. This year they made it a little bit closer. And I think once they got to that semifinals, it's like, hey man, we ain't got nothing to lose. This is house money. Let's go. Let's put all the money. Go ahead.
To your point, and then I'm going to say this in front of Coach Vick. Being a head coach is hard because you can't think of everything.
Yes, sir.
And that happened. There was some in some of those games we called. There were times where I was like, "Does the head coach know he's got a timeout?" But the thing is, he probably isn't thinking of that because he's got something else going on in his head. You're not going to always think of everything. That's part of it. And what you said may be correct, that it may not have been a concern because they thought they were going to be able to take away any type of decent look, and it didn't work out that way. But I think it's very plausible what you're talking about there.
Yeah.
Well, I know it's hard to look at the scoreboard when you're right on the floor. I mean, I kept going. It was hard to see how many times. I mean, I had to always ask my assistant how many I got left because usually I could see it, in my eyesight instead of having to look straight up. There was no sideboards anywhere to look at the score clock or anything. It was all above your head.
And the other thing at Lloyd Noble, they had a scoreboard on the floor level across from the benches that show how many timeouts both teams have. And there were coaches that were still, but they were not ready to look at that. They just didn't know because they hadn't been there before. And I don't think they had that set up 2 years ago, the last time they hosted 5A tournament games. And so on Thursday and Friday, there were times where the coaches were not sure how many timeouts they had left, even though they had a place that they could have easily looked.
Right.
They just didn't know. It just didn't occur to them because, again, you're just not, your new surroundings, and you're just not it's hard to be aware of everything. That's what makes it such a hard job.
Jordan, I got a question for you. You talk about the venue, being at OU, then being at OG&E, then UConn. What'd you think about that? And also, I know you guys couldn't broadcast live because it was head through NFC,
NFHS.
Their program. But there was a person that was We Don't Drink Coffee in the coffee shop that was producing and showing the games. How did that happen?
So we're not allowed. We can go live. We just can't show video of the game. So we try to set up cameras where we will have, when we interview coaches before after the game, we can show the interview with those coaches, so we can show people, hey, we are there.
Yes, sir.
But when it comes to the game, we can't show video of the game. So we would show video of the announcers, and as a way just to kind of make it more real. But as far as I heard about what you're talking about, I even looked at it briefly. It's an interesting name, and I assume they just were able to wire the feed of the NFHS feed, and we're able to show it to the masses. And I wouldn't be surprised if they do that again with a different name. It's kind of a way to keep the trail quiet. But Yeah, I was wondering the same thing. Like, I wonder how they're doing it, but I guess they found some way to probably get the feed for free, for
Yes.
one, and then just connected to whatever type of streaming they were doing through YouTube.
Because what they did, they cut back between both games. So
5A and 6A, yeah.
Yeah, they cut it back, wherever. I mean, they went from OG&E to OU. I mean, the OG&E building to the OU auditorium. So I said no. I was like, that's kind of weird because you guys couldn't do that. And here's some persons I don't drink coffee.
Well, they're breaking the rules. Just that's it's not. They're not allowed to do it, but they're just like, we're going to do it anyway.
Oh, okay, I got.
But we have a relationship with the NFHS, and so we're not gonna, we're gonna respect what the rules are with that.
Yeah.
So I know they'll use some of our talent for other games, and they do it for football,
Right.
and they may do it for baseball. So we have a good working relationship with them, but so we're not gonna do that. But that's not gonna stop some people from going around it.
Yeah.
So
what?
Go ahead.
Are your family and network schools that you host? When do you decide? How do you choose who you add? And I think this year you had a Newcastle, right?
No, I think we added Newcastle in 2020.
Okay, I don't remember seeing their basketball games on your YouTube.
Yes, so I can explain that. This was their first year in 5A, and I knew they were going to be good. I saw the chatter on X about the boys, whenever you want to talk about that. They got the 4 move-ins, and I was like, okay, looks like Newcastle's going to be good, because I knew they're getting Jordan Richardson too on the girls' side, and they're now in 5A, and that's what we got with Middale. So I made a point to get advertisers for Newcastle basketball, and I made a point we're going to treat them like we with Middale because they're 5A, and there's going to be a lot of overlap.
Right.
They're going to play Del City twice, and they're going to play Altus, which is with the network. They're going to play Lawton MacArthur, who's with the network. So we're going to make it a priority to show their games as well. If they were still in 4A, I really couldn't do it. I couldn't make that a priority. But because Newcastle's in 5A, I'm like, okay, we're going to try to make sure we get their games on as well. And so that's why we really got a lot of their basketball games on this year as opposed to previous years.
Okay. I just wonder. I mean, I saw them added this year, but it makes perfect sense now that they're in districts. You're going to double up. You might as well just go ahead and cover.
Mm-hmm.
No,
and I knew they'd be good, so I wanted to make them a priority, both girls and boys.
Hey, Jordan, I don't know if you like calling and talk about Jordan Richardson because your name is Jordan too. But I mean,
but yeah.
So how did you feel about her going over there, man? I mean, I'm a big Jordan Richardson fan. I wish you to stay at CA, but I know sometimes you got to do what's best for your kid and your family. So how do you feel about her going over to Newcastle? You think it was a great fit? You think it would have been better to stay at home at CA, home of the Titans?
Well, I know it will look that way. Like, it would be better if she stayed home this year. But again, she's only a sophomore. I've talked with her a little bit at both last year and then this year. I mean, she's a very sweet girl.
Great kid.
And I know, Coach Richie had to be a little disappointed that she was leaving, but again, they overcame that. And I've never heard any inside information about what happened there. So I know Newcastle's a popular place to move to. So, good for them. They have a talented player. I think with Carl Albert, she could be more of a scorer, and that's kind of a more natural thing for her. With Newcastle, she ran point a lot, and she's talented, and she can do that. But she also has to kind of take a back seat to players like Amara King and Kalani Kindred. So, but you know what? I mean, that's how it works. You want to win, you got to make sacrifices. And so I think I'm sure she's looking forward to playing with those two for 2 more years, and they could be very formidable, of course. So, it worked out for Carl Albert. I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of the day it works out for Jordan Richardson as well.
Yes, sir. Like I said, I wish her the best, man. It's each year there's kids that's supposed to win the championship and don't win it. I mean, everybody thought when Owasso won their first one, he's going to win 2 or 3 more. It doesn't happen, I mean, it's tough. I mean, it's tough to, it's Carl Albert football just has a magic. And, and think about Colorado sports, man, you got to really be tickled for Richie because it seems like every sport has won something except for his team. And I know Coach Price has had a little bit of a drought too, but they both was right there. Swim team, like you said, swim team just won one. The wrestling team just came off, finishing second. Is going to have a really good team next year. Track, softball, baseball is going to be really good this year. So track, Cam got the track team going good. So they're doing a lot of great things there, and a lot of the kids are homegrown kids. I know you guys been hearing this a lot. I don't really have a problem with transfer because I think if you're not happy at the school you're at, you should go somewhere you're going to be happy. Now, I don't like 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 kids come in, and then you have all these kids waiting on their turn to become my chance to start. Now, Johnny and Joe and Jimmy and JJ and Tay-Tay and everybody else come in. Now it's taking my kid's spot. That's the only problem I have to that because now do I need to pack up and move and go find somebody else? I understand 1 or 2 kids coming in to help the team, but when you start having 5 to 6 kids come in, I think, and Coach V, I want you to speak on this because you are a coach, because I know coaches love for kids to come in and help the program, but as a parent, and I know you can sit there and tell your kid to get better, but if your kid is slotting to be the starting point guard, the starting quarterback, starting receiver, and then somebody moves in, it does hurt a little bit because he's worked his tail off to get there. And, they always says, homegrown, you do want to play. You do want to play where your brother, your sister went to school at or was at now because I've seen it a lot. Like I said, I'm not against it, folks. I don't want you to think I'm over here being a hater, but I do understand when kids do move in and it takes somebody's spot, that does hurt a kid's heart.
Well, if you're going to play at the next level, that's an every year deal.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so if you're the type of if you're that type of player that think you're going to play at the collegiate level, it's not a 4-year contract. Every April you sign your financial aid, which includes your scholarship and usually anything else you get OLAP or Pell, and it renews every year. Mm-hmm. Now, I've seen where coaches, we had a young lady, what's her name? It was Ada. She was signed early, and they got a new coach. The new coach came in and said, "Hey, everybody hit the portal." I mean, she hadn't even played there yet. She had to go back in the reality of figuring out where am I going, put myself back out there. So that concept there is something that could be something taught early to a young player early. Now, I understand the community thing. That's Joe there. You've been playing forever, and you've been looking for him to come to high school, and all of a sudden, 3 kids move in or something. But you know what? It's going to happen eventually at some level if you're that type of kid. And so, you got the choice. Either you get to the gym, you work hard, and you keep your spot, or maybe you transfer out. I mean, March the 15th to July, hey, baby, it's transfer portal in high school. It's alive. High school basketball is alive all year long now. All year.
Hey, Tony, I got a couple things I want to add to what you said. First off, you mentioned Crawford girls, again, winning at a place that they win a lot of state titles. And I hope that team gets really celebrated, not just because of what they did, but, there was a time when at Carl Albert, go back to the year 2000 when they last won a state title in girls basketball. At that point, the boys had never won a state title in boys basketball. Baseball never won a state title. They were still years away from that. Now the baseball team's got 8, so things changed. I don't know, and I don't know about wrestling or track. I'm sure they may have had a few, but it was just mostly a football school and a girls basketball school at that point because I think they had 3, and so I'm happy that that's a team that should be celebrated at a school that they get a state champion every sports season, it seems like, or 2 or a couple, and so I was very happy to see that kind of that drought get snapped, and then it's kind of funny what you mentioned about transfers though, because here I am again going to transition to boys, but that's what happened to Newcastle. They got 4 move-ins. And they were really good players, but I think in that instance, it's about context because you had 3 seniors that are just going to be there for 1 year and a junior, and I don't think any player on that team minded that they had to take a bit of a back seat now because it's like you talk about a senior on Newcastle. I think it's John Trey's first name, John Trey Sloan. So his playing time definitely was affected by those move-ins. He's a good athlete, not as skilled maybe as the 2 big guys they brought in, but he was as happy as anyone that they won. Mm-hmm. He was the one holding the trophy in a lot of the team pictures, And so he was just thrilled to be a part of it. And so it kind of depends on the situation.
Yes, sir.
And if for 1 year, I don't think they were going to be that deep without those four. So it ended up becoming a great story that those four guys, Folsom, Brammer, Antwi Donkor, TJ Williams came in, and that was also a very fun team to watch.
No, I thought Jesse did a great job. Jesse's a great coach, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I think Jesse's tough, and but
Yes.
I think that's what you need to get, and you're getting ready for the next level. So hats off to Jesse. I love Jesse Brown to death, man. I think he does a great job on the girls circuit side with his legend teams. And then this is, see, you can talk about transfer everywhere. It happens in football. Carl Albert gets their share of kids coming for football. And every school does, that's just the way it is. Choctaw's been one of the top-notch schools to get kids to come in. Someone's one and done. Like I said, I'm kind of like it is in college. You start seeing these kids today, you talk about spring break, and that's when a lot of the doors start open, the floods come out. Had a kid talk, I saw it on Twitter today. I'm leaving Edmond Memorial. I'm going to Mustang to play football. Why are you announcing that? You're going to one high school to the next high school. Who cares? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree with that.
You're not getting any money. Hey, you want us to clap for you?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So just hey, if you're leaving. Let's sneak out the back door, go do your thing. And like I said, sometimes you might not get along with the coach. Sometimes you might not. It might not be the system you're fit for. So I do understand. I'm not saying I've transferred my kid out. So it's not like I'm being a hypocrite. Carl Albert's wrestling wasn't good when my son was wrestling, so I took him to Choctaw. Choctaw's a great coach, and it worked out good for him. But I'm not saying I'm against it. I just think I think it is tough when you have 5 or 6 kids move in, 4, 5, 6 kids move in. So, because you got these juniors or sophomores thinking, hey, I'm going to start this year. The next thing you know, summertime's come around. You're like, where these guys come from? But, hey, that's like I said, you got to get better. If you don't like it, you pack up and move too. So, let's think about it. There's 1,000 schools across Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, so you can go somewhere. So, you want to touch anything on the boys' side before we get out of here?
Yeah, absolutely, because that was another great game. And it was an interesting contrast, because in both games – well, first of all, we talked earlier about the fans. The fans had to switch sides from the girls' game to the boys' game. Which
I did not know that. So I wasn't there. That's crazy.
Yeah. Because Carl Albert girls were the home team. Newcastle boys were the home team.
Oh, my God.
So the fans had to switch sides. But there was a game in between. There was an intermission as well. So that was but I thought that was kind of funny. Like one game, we're on one side, Tracy and I, who are also known as V-Dog, calling the game.
Yeah.
And we had Newcastle fans on our side, and then we had Carl Albert fans on our side. So
that's good stuff.
But also the coaches that lost had already won a state title. Doesn't mean I don't feel bad for them and their seniors, but they already had won a state title. And the teams that lost and finished runner-up, I think, are better positioned to win next year.
Yes.
So we could see a situation where we got 2 teams, Newcastle girls and Carl Albert boys. I wouldn't be surprised to see both teams bounce back and win next year. I'm not saying they will. I'm not guaranteeing anything right now. I'm just saying those are 2 of the top contenders. If you ask me, well, what's 5A going to look like next year? And as far as Newcastle boys go, I agree with everything you said about Jesse Brown. He's told me twice that he didn't know those movements were coming. But Newcastle's kind of a good destination place right now, and I believe him when he tells me that. Like, hey, he got good fortune there. He gives God the glory with that, but he still coached that team. That final play they ran for Colton Brammer, who had one of the more memorable state championship games. You score like 44 points in overtime to win. He scored half his team's points. So, a 22-point output when you're only scoring 44, that can be more impressive than, let's say, a 35-point output when your team scores 90.
Yeah.
Because the possession slowed down so much. And that play they ran to him, they ran a set play. They executed. That's coaching. And they didn't call a timeout to do that. I believe, I wish I asked him that, but I just didn't think to when I interviewed him after the game, that play was probably called while Carl Albert was shooting free throws with about 20-some seconds to go. Like, hey, here's the play we're going to run. And they didn't call a timeout to diagram it, but they've run it before a few times during the season, probably several times, but just in the few I've watched. And they executed the play to perfection. And, it was a Newcastle boys had a very complete starting lineup. They reminded me of Del City boys about 3 years ago, where it just seemed like all the starters complemented each other. You know, they had a true point guard in Folsom, who was everything you want a point guard. He's a leader, ball handler. He's a defensive thief. They had Brammer, a combo guard. You want a guard that can shoot to complement that. They had that. Antwi Donkar is a very athletic forward. He's a combo forward. You know, he can go inside and out. TJ Williams is 6'8", very skilled, great rim protector. And the thing is, it didn't matter who their fifth starter was. So Coach Brown throughout the season would change his fifth starter from game to game. They could go big with like a big 6'8" guy like Owen Wright. They could go small with a Cole Sealy or Alan Price. But whoever it was would complement the other four good enough. And so that was one of the most complete teams I've seen. You know, sometimes take a year like 2 years ago when Midwest City won, boys, their players were all kind of like each other. You know, so they didn't have that. They didn't have a lot of variety with their players. They didn't need to. But sometimes you have a team that has these guys that are very different from each other, and that makes for a very well put together team. And that's what I'll think of when I think of this Newcastle boys team that won their first ever state title.
Congratulations to Jesse Brown on doing that, man.
Yep.
That's big time. That's big time. But guys, anything else? Like I said, is there any girls that that caught y'all's eye? Coach V, I know you watch a lot of the Middale teams. I know we want to thank you for letting us be part of that. Let us put our logo up, and it's something that we want to continue doing, Jordan. If you guys don't, we want to kind of partner and keep doing that.
Absolutely, we love that. We appreciate it.
No, it helps us, and and then like I said, we're gonna kind of flip our name a little bit, just not because anything bad, but we got a lot of girls that we're talking to from different parts of different states, and so you can't be Oklahoma and you're talking to girls from Texas and Arkansas and Kansas. So we're going to change our name. But what is it, Coach V?
We haven't talked about Midwest City much. I mean, they didn't, they got beat area finals consolation, but they have a good mixture of youth and experience. They're going to lose some pieces. They got some freshmen that stood out this year, and then I've heard the junior high is pretty strong as well. So, and they got to the area finals. So there's three teams in the Middale area that next year were losing some pieces, but yet the youth is there to make their run again next year. I was glad this year we talked about it before the season even started that we need to get Midwest City and Carl Albert playing, and we did. Now we need to get Dale City on the regular schedule. Let's get a Middale champion. Let's run them. I mean, Middale basketball girls is good, and the boys as well.
Yes, sir.
Let me throw a couple things with that. So I'm just going to throw out this suggestion. I don't think anyone's going to listen to me, but here it goes. I wish instead of having two districts per side, they would have one big conference, and so you have 16 teams. Do it for 5A and 6A, like 16 teams in the West. Have them all play each other once. Mm-hmm. So that's 15 district games. So you will get your Dell Cities playing Midwest Cities and Carl Alberts, and everyone will play everyone once. And I like that idea. Then you go off your seating there for figuring out who hosts. And a couple things to watch out for basketball next year for 5A. First of all, generally for 5A for boys, they came out with a football ADM recently, and Booker T got moved back to 6A.
That's it.
Will that remain in place for basketball? Because I think that will be done over the summer.
No, I heard the other night that Booker T is going to go 6A in Sapopa. What's the team that?
Yeah, Sapopa, I think, is going down.
Yeah, Sapopa's coming down. So, which to me, it's good. I think Booker T's a little tougher anyway. I mean, I'm not saying Sapopa's not. They're a great team, but I know they're losing a few girls. But I like that. Then you also got to wonder: is Bishop McGinnis going to stay 5A because
that's the next thing?
Okay.
Yeah, because they'll have a really good girls team if wherever they are, and they have this private school ruling stuff coming up again, like 2 years ago. So I'll be very interested to see where Bishop McGinnis is in basketball next year.
Well, in basketball, I can tell you from what I was told, if the rule goes through, McGinnis will drop to 4, maybe 3, and Lincoln may drop to 2.
2.
Wow.
Yeah.
A lot of 4A teams, but I heard Douglas might be coming up to 5 though. So
well, that would be interesting.
This is the way I look at it. Whoever's on your schedule, you got to go play them. You can't run from them. That's why I told somebody, man, you got to play against Newcastle. You got to play them. you know, you got to play eventually. And you know what? I enjoy playing against Newcastle. I think it brings the best out of your girls because they know they're the best team. So, and nobody wants to go get beat up on. So, you know what? You got to come bring your A game tonight. So I cherish the moment, you know, playing Midway City, you know, the Brooklyn Henderson. I think, you know, next year playing Delsey when Paris come back. I mean, I know they lose a little bit in Sasha and Raina, but I think you still got enough with, you know, with McAllister coming back. You know, you got to look at what Jennifer Duggan's going to do. She lost a lot of girls, but, you know, she's not going to be down forever. So it's going to be really wide open. I mean, like I said, Glenpool's a team I thought was pretty good. I know East Central, you know, I know they're on the other side of the state, but, you know, they got Chloe Woodson coming back. I mean, she's a dynamic player. So I think girls basketball can be wide open again. You know, I know we talk about this side of the state, but I think there's going to be a lot of good teams, though. And like I said, I want to know what, you know, if Coach Richie's going to go back to the tournament of champions. I mean, he's a champion now. So he did. I mean, I know it's kind of tough because you lose girls, but I think they're going to be fine. I think, you know, anytime you win, everybody wants to jump on the train. So you never know. He might have a couple of move-ins come in and visit him and join that Titan tradition.
Absolutely.
But guys, I really appreciate it, man. Jordan, I love getting on here, man, and talking, you know, high school girls basketball with you and even boys, man. You start throwing out names, man. I thought it was like a spelling bee. It's like, wait a minute, you know, I got confused. Like, wait a minute. And so I love it that, you know, what I love it when, you know, I get caught up sometimes. I know a lot of girls' name and Coach V, but man, when you start throwing out names like that, man, that tells me you do your homework and you know what's going on. So Oklahoma Sports Network is lucky to have a guy like you on their team. I know you and Gordy, and what's the other guy that I love him? His energy.
Well, he goes by V-Dog. His name's Tracy, but if you should follow him on social media, V-Dog, whether it's Facebook or X. Because
yeah, I got him on there. Yeah, we've been touching pace. Yeah, I love him, man. I love what he does to it, man. I mean, you know, we just put up a girls Instagram account, you know, for the girls side. So, you know, we've all had our own, but we need to start putting stuff on that. So we trying to do big things, Jordan. We try to push the needles, and like I said, we love that we got to put. I think it helped us putting our logo out there. You know, you guys and people hear my name. My daughter thought that was the coolest thing. It's like, Dad, they're talking about you. So, but I love what you guys are doing, though, man. But can I make one suggestion? If I can help the team any way I can. Is there any way, and I'm not being mean, I'm just keeping it real because I watch a lot of y'all stuff. What can we do to high def the cameras a little bit, though?
So you're for improving our camera quality.
I'm here to help. I mean, I go out and help raise $1 or $2. Just let me know, because I mean, hey, we family. We are family.
I'm not against the if we can, if it's there, that's above my pay grade, because you know how expensive cameras can be.
No, I'm just saying, man, we might need to go to Middale schools, all that money Andy Collier got. You know, we might. I mean, we broadcast. Hey, man, we got Newcastle. They got the casino out there. We doing their games too. We all need to come together, because I'm telling you right now, we got the best broadcasting team around. But man, sometimes it looks like I'm watching Channel 34.
I'm not disagreeing with anything you're saying, but I'll just reiterate, it's above my pay grade.
No, I'm just saying, man.
I'm all for it.
I just think we get that going, man. We ain't nobody touching Oklahoma Sports Network. I'm telling you, man, when ain't nobody touching y'all, because y'all do a good job. You, Gordy, and V-Dog. I love it, man. Tell Eric, man. Eric up there chilling up there a lot. We love you, Eric. We love you over here, Oklahoma High School Girls Between the Line. But Coach, Mr. Jordan, man, we appreciate you coming on and joining us, man. Like I said, you know, looking forward to what you got next. You doing baseball? Are you done to football season? What do you got going?
Baseball, yeah. We're putting some things together. I got spring break, like Coach Vick. I'm putting some things together right now. Looking forward to we've got some good baseball teams on the network. So we'll pick that back up after spring break.
Well, you get you some rest, man. Like I said, man, we appreciate
That's
you.
What this week's for, yeah.
Hey, I appreciate you, man. Get you a couple of shots while you in that gym too, all right?
You got it.
All right, we appreciate you. Folks, man, that's Mr. Jordan and the Oklahoma Sports Network. Does a great job what he does with his show, man. Always putting out some of the best knowledge, man. You talking about Coach V, I'm telling you, he started writing those names out like he had it right there in front of him. That's big time. That's
you got to do your homework.
Folks don't think I'm taking it wrong, because I love what they do. Oklahoma Sports Network, man. They helped us out putting our logo up. But I want us to be the best. If we're gonna be the best in Middale, we got to have the best equipment. I know what they do over at that with KFJ or whatever it's called over there in Mustang and Yukon. Hey, we want to be like them guys, man. If you sitting there watching the game, I want to be able to look at my daughter's jersey and see what number she is, man. I mean, I tell you, a lot of people, I think they had a hard time on the NFC channel looking at jerseys. They're calling girls the wrong name. That's Jakari Brown. I ain't Jakari. It look like Jakari, But I mean, like I said, I think they did a great job, man. I love what they did with the post game, being able to still call the games, maybe not go live, but you still call the games and people know what's going on. And a lot of times people like, if you're walking, if you're at the gym, you can't watch it because you're lifting weights, but you got your headphones on, you still got a chance to keep in touch with the game. So I love what they did. Coach V, anything before we get out of here though?
No, I appreciate it. Like I said, I like watching basketball, so I get on the network and I watch basketball, and good thing is the games they show are good games and good quality. I like listening to them. I caught myself even watching the guys broadcast, even though I couldn't see the game, but I was in my car driving. I put it on YouTube so I can listen to it like a live stream. So it was a neat aspect of staying involved when you couldn't watch it, because they started at 8 in the morning and go all the way almost to midnight. So unless you're just sitting in front of the TV the whole time, you gotta run an errand. I still want to listen to the game. So they did a good job.
No, I love the energy that V-Dog brings, though, man. He brings a lot of energy to it, man. Hey, Bobby Lewis string, boom! I mean, he makes me jump. But that's what you want, though, man. Those guys do a great job bringing the game. Jordan, man, knows what's going on, man. He knows the girls' names. He knows their stats and all that. So, man, I think they got one of the best broadcasts around, man. Like I said, I mean, to be the best, I know you got to crawl before you walk, but like I said, even us, man, we have to upgrade ourselves each year to keep up with people, because like I said, everybody's coming out now. You got the Daddy Dog show now. You got all kind of different shows. And like I said, I love what we bring, because we bring a lot of different things, man, what we doing. So, like I said, Coach V, man, I want you to enjoy your spring break, but we're not done yet. We still got a couple more shows to drop, though. I know we was off last week, and so we're going to get back busy this week. We'll have another special show later on tonight with two state champions. One's a national and one's a state champion. And then we're going to start bringing on all the high school girls that won a state championship with their coach, right?
Yeah, we got coaches lined up. Every state champion lined up with maybe one or two players. So I haven't heard from Coach Pup C North, but I know.
Come on, PC North, quit holding out.
I got 5A, 4A, 3A, and 2A. They're all lined up, ready to go.
So that's what we do, folks. We do it live. But, folks, you know what time it is? Hey! I want to thank Oklahoma High School Girls Between the Lines on another great show. I also had my man Jordan with Oklahoma Sports Network coming on and giving us the lowdown of Middale School in Newcastle. Jesse Brown's the state champion coach. Richie. Kyle Richie's a state champion coach. Congratulations, Coach Rich, on a hell of a season. I'm going to keep it real. A hell of a season. So, hey, don't count them Titans out, baby. He said it's been something that's he brought it home. He said, playing at home. I brought it home. He brought it home. And we'll catch you next time on Oklahoma High School Girls Between the Lines with my man, Coach V. We'll catch you. See ya. Folks, we want to thank everybody for tuning in to another great episode of Oklahoma High School Girls Basketball Between the Lines. And our special guest tonight, Jordan Rhea, with the Oklahoma Sports Network. Thank you, Jordan, for joining us. And we'll catch the show when we bring it out. See ya.
We'd like to thank the following sponsors: Above the Line Hoops, Prep Girl Hoops, Keep It 100, and for the latest in high school girls basketball action, check out the podcast